Well, hello there, friends. It's Lynn Limburger, the Health and Fitness Motivation Podcast. And today I am so very, very honored to have a client, friend, student of Couch to Active with us on today to tell us her story. She's not just that, she's an amazing human being. I've so enjoyed getting to know her, and an author, which we're going to ask her to tell us about her books partway through this interview too, because that's some pretty exciting stuff she's got going on there. So Sherry, welcome to the podcast. And if you could introduce yourself, tell us where in the world you are, and tell us a little bit about your whole health and fitness thing.
All right. Well, thanks for having me for this, Lynn. And I am Sherry Gomes, and I do live in Colorado with my guide dog, Shawnee. I am an author. I am retired from my regular old day job, which was doing tech support for a blindness technology company. But I retired from that last summer, and I published my first novel in July, and am working on the second. So that's kind of me in a nutshell.
Congratulations. Okay, we have to jump right to your novel. Do you mind telling
No.
folks that? Yeah, tell us a little bit about your novel.
Okay, so my novel is called Haven, and it takes place in a fictitious Colorado town called Haven Valley. I am blind, which we'll get into when I talk about my health and fitness stuff. And I felt for a long time that those of us with disabilities need to start writing fiction with characters with disabilities, because there's a lot of nonfiction stuff about living with disabilities, but that's a very small niche audience. And I thought that people with disabilities writing fiction that the average human being is going to read, maybe it can slowly begin to change societal views about disability. And not to mention the fact that I've been a compulsive writer since I was about 9 years old, and I just want to write and publish books. So that's my thing. Anyway, it is currently available in Kindle and paperback on Amazon.com. And I am working with a voice actor, and the reading of the book for audible.com is in progress and should be available in the spring, March or April.
Sherry, we've been working together a long time, and it's always business. I never stopped and actually asked you what your book was about. So now I really got to get it. Now I really want to read it.
Yeah, it's a romance, but it's about the guy is sighted, but he's a widower with a almost 4-year-old child, and she has just suffered a devastating loss in a divorce. Her custody of her daughter was given to her ex-husband because the judge doesn't believe that blind people should be parents. And this is an issue that has actually affected many real blind couples and blind parents over the years. A number of states are coming out with parents' rights laws, which are making it illegal to take a child away from someone just because that person is disabled.
Uh-huh. Wow.
But there's still, majority of states don't have laws protecting disabled parents. And that was something, though I'm not a parent, this is something I really felt strongly about and wanted to bring this out in my novel. But it is overall a romance.
Because when you talked about issues of individuals who have, disabilities such as being blind, my mind went to just yesterday. I was talking to a couple of students, and we were laughing. They were laughing, and I was like, "Wow, I'm still learning about how it's been a long time since that it used to be a thing when someone was introduced to somebody who was blind, that the sighted person would think like, oh, here, let me grab your hands and you can touch my face."
Yeah, ew.
I know. That's and it was so fun. I love that you go ooh. And the funny thing is, I was sitting there thinking, yeah, ooh, but why did I have that image in my head? Like, and then I asked him, I was like, was it from the Helen Keller movie or what? Because
movies and books and everything in general perpetrated that nonsense. Mm-hmm. Because honestly, I could feel your face. I might know how big your face is, what shape it is, if your cheeks are round or thin, all those things. But that tells me nothing about what you look like because I can't see it. Haven isn't really a book about being blind. You know that Elizabeth, the main female lead, is blind. She has a guide dog. She reads Braille, uses a screen reader on her computer, that kind of thing. You know she's blind because of that. But this is not what I call how I live life as a blind person. It's a romance. So it's about two people falling in love.
That's so exciting, Sherry. Thank you for sharing us. Okay. Okay. Now I feel like I want to just make the podcast about that. But you have this incredible story of health and fitness and your journey. And I would just love to open the door for you to share whatever you'd like to about that.
Okay, well, I am 64. I was born with something called juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. And I grew up in Northern California. And at the time, the doctors at Stanford Children's Hospital said it was the youngest case they'd ever seen with JRA because they felt I was essentially born with it. I have what's called JRA Polyarticular Systemic. And that means polyarticulate means it affects several or many joints. In my case, it affects every joint in my body, including my jaw. And it also, systemic means it can affect your internal organs. So it can cause blindness, deafness, it can cause heart trouble, lung trouble, kidney trouble, liver trouble, you name it. As a young child, it did damage my optic nerve, and that's how I became blind. They do now have drugs that prevent that, but this was in the very early 60s and they didn't have that. So I grew up with this disease. I had really amazing parents and doctors who educated me from a very young age about how to handle my arthritis, how to control it and not let it control me, to exercise even when it hurt. My right knee was fused when I was around 3 because the arthritis was so bad I couldn't walk, so it was fused. They didn't have artificial joints then, and they probably would not do an artificial joint on a child because a child is growing. And that was, I have to this day, chronic pain, and over my lifetime, a lot of joint damage and loss of range of motion. But in childhood, my parents made me do my range of motion exercises every single day, come rain or come shine, Christmas, Sunday, whatever. Mm-hmm. And you can bet I hated it. Mm-hmm. I hated it. And when my dad and my stepmom split up and nobody made me do my exercises anymore, I quit doing them. My left knee has been replaced 2 times so far. Both hips have been replaced. My surgeons have been really amazed because of the strength of what I had. I should have really been in a wheelchair by the time I was in my 20s. And that didn't happen. And I give that credit to my dad and stepmom for making me do those horrible exercises. And for the fact that when I was 17, I got my first guide dog, and that made, I was walking and I was active, and also teaching me about my disease helped me be determined not to let it win.
And Sherry, let's talk about that a little bit and then get right back to your story. So rheumatoid arthritis, that's what my husband has also,
right?
Double knee replacement. People have different experiences with it, but one of the keys of rheumatoid arthritis, as I understand, is a lot of times everything hurts to move, but moving, but it's a catch-22 because movement is so critical to keeping your mobility. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, you have to move. If you don't move, you lose range of motion. And nothing gets that range. Once you've lost it, you can't get it back. Glucosamine, drugs, alfalfa, garlic, whatever the heck it is that they're promoting this day, those will not restore the motion you've lost. Nothing will once you've lost it. Exercising while you still have it, even when it hurts, will help you retain that range of motion. And it hurts. I can remember times as a kid when my wrists would hurt so bad, or my ankles, or my knee, or my hips. And, my parents would help me exercise those joints. I remember doctors trying warm paraffin like molds over my hands.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff. I used to take hot baths. I can't get in and out of a bathtub anymore, but Hot baths used to help, things like that. But exercise was the key.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. We actually, you mentioned that hot paraffin. We actually have one of those that my husband uses. And
Yeah.
it's wonderful. So if you've ever been to the spa where they give you a paraffin wax dip, the ones at home are way better because it's like an entire vat of paraffin that you
Yeah.
can dip your hands in and it comes out looking like a wax figure.
At the time, mine were just like paraffin gloves. So, anyway, as an adult, I really still hated exercise. And over the years, I would bring up my old range of motion exercises and I would do leg lifts and I would do, arm raises. And while I still could get on the floor, I would do sit ups and push ups. Now, not wimpy girl push ups. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Not girl push ups that they used to have girls do, but real push ups where you pushed all the way up. And I would get tired of it and I would hate it because I hated it all the time. I hated it. And, in the 90s, I worked at Nordstrom and I wore a size 4 and I was a cute little thing. And now, I wear 12 and I'm not a cute little thing anymore. Some of that is because of not exercising. Some of that is kind of sit down jobs. You know how that is.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of fast forward to this year. And I was diagnosed in March with kidney cancer. And in April, I had a surgery to remove my left kidney. And I started really thinking about my health. And I thought, in order to try to prevent cancer or just any more health problems with my body and protect the kidney I have and all that stuff, I should really think about getting healthy.
Mm-hmm.
This doesn't really have anything to do with how I look. I'll never be a size 4 again. I don't care anymore,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But I want to be healthy. I want to have energy. I don't want to feel exhausted and listless all the time. I can get on the floor now, but I can't get up without help. I want to be able to get on the floor and cuddle with my dog.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to get in and out of a bathtub and take a hot bath. If I were to fall when I'm out walking with my dog, I want to be able to get up instead of calling 911. And I want to do whatever I can to give myself as much of a chance at health. I've scorned diets for years. I eat food that is probably unhealthy for a woman my age. I like whole milk. I like butter. I like cheese. I like red meat. When I crave food, I crave red meat. Not sugar. I don't crave sugar.
Talk a little bit about when you talk about detesting exercise and you just hate exercise. That's one of the things we've been working together for a while now. And I keep hearing from you, I used to hate it so much. I used to hate it. So what's different for you now?
Well, I think one, I hated it so much because of the ramifications of being forced to do it all the time, even as I knew what it did for me. It's the reason I'm mobile today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But when I would try to exercise, I would feel bored. I would feel frustrated. I would just be like, this is so boring. I hate it. I don't want to do it. And when I had friends who were working with you and I decided to talk to you, I told you really honestly about that and how I feel and that I was worried about getting tired of it, getting bored with it.
Oh, yeah.
And what you've done is really to keep it a little different. We do a lot of the same things every time, but you mix it up just enough. We might do one thing with the arms one day and do something else the next day and then do the first thing again a couple days later. But it keeps me never knowing exactly what we're going to do. Also, I have you that I can talk about it with, and we share about how I'm feeling about it, the accountability, and have somebody that I'm doing this with instead of on my own, I found has really helped. And I see a difference. I went from barely being able to lift up my right leg and balance on my left leg without clinging on with two hands.
Again, the death grip, we call it. Yep.
The death grip, to being able to have, just 4 fingers of one hand on the stand while I balance. That's a huge change.
Yeah, that was yesterday. That was
Yeah,
exciting.
that was yesterday.
Yeah. Well, and I remember when we first met, you're like, I hate exercise. My parents made me exercise. I don't like it, but I know I need to. And don't put me on any special diet. I'm not going to do it. Just letting you know. But at the same time, I think you got to give yourself really most the credit, because you're the one who showed up. You're the one who's like, hey, I want to figure this out. And when you can say, yeah, I make it fun and interesting, but you're the one who just jumps in with all my crazy, like, pop, pop, pop,
Well, I think I'm really committed to it in a way I haven't been when I've just decided,
Yes.
oh, I need to exercise now. I should go on an exercise routine again. And doing the same things I did every year from when I was 6 or before I was 6. The first memory I ever have is working with a physical therapist doing exercise. Until my dad and stepmom broke up when I was 14.
Wow.
I was doing the same thing every day for, probably 10 years of my life. And so when I would pull out those old exercises and do them again, I was so bored and hated it. And yeah.
Oh, yeah. The whole brain, all that programming of your childhood just comes.
Exactly.
The highway in your brain is so strong.
Yeah. So doing it, different things, they're really in so many ways the same things. They're just done differently. It really makes a difference. And I'm really committed. My big fear physically was getting cancer, because my dad died of cancer and I saw what cancer and chemo did to him. I feel like I need to just make myself more healthy. I need to be physically strong. If I were ever to have another surgery, if I were to get another type of cancer, I need to be physically better.
As strong as you can be.
As strong as I can be, have the energy, have the strength, have a well body. And though I haven't changed my overall diet a lot, you've got me using protein powder. I'm being much more careful about hydrating, which is important to keep my one kidney in shape.
Yeah, got the electrolytes going. And
yeah, so it's really overall helping. And I feel really good about myself after we do an exercise session and we get off the Zoom. I feel really positive, like, yeah, good Sherry,
Yeah.
Praise myself like I praise my dog. Good girl.
And we have fun.
I did it another time, another day I got through. And we've been doing this since October.
Uh-huh.
And I haven't said, okay, I don't want to do it anymore. I've taken time off, like for the holidays, but I'm still here.
And I love that when you said, I praise myself like I praise my dog, because I think if we treated our dogs, most of us, the way we treat ourselves, oh my gosh, we're so mean to ourselves. So
I know.
That's a great, great analogy. Okay, I have a question for you, Sherry.
Yeah.
For the person out there who's listening and saying, yeah, I identify my situation might be a little different, but I identify, I hate exercise. Like, I hate it. And I just know I should, but I just am not feeling it. And I've got health issues. What advice do you have for that person?
Well, I'm not going to tell you, rah, rah, you can do it. It's good for you. Because none of that worked with me.
Yeah.
So none of that worked with me. What I will tell you is, what do you want from your life? If you're younger than me, when you get to be 64, where do you want to be? If you got diagnosed with cancer, where do you want your body to be? What are your priorities? What's important to you? I said earlier, I'm not doing this anymore to make me be able to wear a size 4 anymore. I don't care about that. I care about making my body strong and as well as it can be, because I already have a huge thing working against me. I have active juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, and I will have that till the day I die. It will never go away. it isn't always in a flare-up mode, but it will never go away. It will always be attacking my body. And so I spent my lifetime trying to control it and fight back. And here is a new way to fight back. And so it depends on what you want in your life. What are your priorities? I want to get down on the floor and cuddle my dog. Is there something you want to do that you might be able to do if you exercise? Is there something that matters that much to you? Pick up a grandchild or a child, or, take a mile walk. Is there something that matters to you that can motivate you to do this? Because what happened to me was something happened that motivated me. And that was Shawnee, and that was cancer. And I'd hate to have to see anybody else have to get cancer before they're motivated.
Oh, that's beautiful, Sherry. That's so okay. One more question, and then I'll let you go. But oh my gosh, I'm so glad we're doing this, because I'm learning more about you too, even though we work together all the time. I'm just like, let's get to business. Let's exercise. You have this life where you could point to things and say, life bad because this, and you don't. What is it that makes you not go there? And I know you're human and you probably have bad days, but what makes it so you just keep getting up and keep doing it?
Well, I think I have to give that credit to my grandmother and my dad and stepmom. They taught me not to pity myself. I saw my grandmother, my dad's mom. She went through a lot of things in her life, and she was always positive and cheerful and always loving and giving and never complaining, no matter what happened. My parents taught me to believe in myself and to believe that no matter what, I could still succeed. I'm just optimistic by general, and I kind of have a policy of I can only handle worrying about one thing at a time. And so I might have 4 or 5 things in life that are troublesome, but I can only worry about one of them at a time. And honestly, and this isn't really a positive thing, when I was in high school, my second stepmother told me that everybody liked me when I'm happy. But people didn't want to be around me when I wasn't. And I was a teenager, so of course I wasn't ever happy. And my other family, my dad and my first stepmom that had such an impact on my life, that relationship or that family had been broken up within the last 2 or 3 years when this statement was made. And so I learned at that age that it's no good to complain to people because they don't really want to hear it. Now, I do have my really close friends, Doug, my friend Joylene, my family, my sister and my brother. They know me, and I can confide in them. But other than that, what's the point? Life is already short. I intend to live my life every single bit I can till the day I die. I jokingly tell people I'm going to walk into my grave when the time comes. And I don't intend to spend my life, stressing out over what's happened to me in the past. And I don't intend to, spend my life worrying too much about what's going to happen in the future and complaining about what's going on now. And, I see all these things on Facebook. Remember the good old days when this happened and when that happened. And remember when kids could play in the sprinklers and they could be out till the street lights came on. I say, yeah, and remember that was before the Civil Rights Act, the Women's Movement, Gay Pride, and the ADA. So I never want to go back. I always want to go forward. And there's things I might have regretted that have happened or I've done in my life. I have some periods in my life I kind of jokingly, that sort of gallows humor that I call the 5 worst times in my life, all caps, of course. And they are things I consider the 5 worst times in my life. But those are things in the past, and those are things that made me who I am today. And who would I be if they hadn't happened? I don't know that person. I know who Sherry is today. and I am a published author. And I have friends that have been my friends for, some for 23 years, some for 30 years. I have a really great guide dog. I have a great home. I'm healthy. And
you have a great home in the Boulder, Colorado area.
Yes.
So your home was spared last week.
My home was spared. Yes.
Oh my gosh. Yes. So glad. So glad. Sherry, if folks want to, I want folks to look up your book, and I want everybody listening to get a copy of your book, Haven. Where do we send them?
Go to Amazon.com, look up my name, Sherry Gomes, SherryGomes. The book is called Haven. You can get it on Kindle. You can get it in paperback. And in 2 or 3 months, you'll be able to get it in audio format.
Yay. Well, Sherry, thank you so much. Seriously, such an honor to have you on. And I'm glad we did this just because I got to know you better.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thanks, Lynn. I enjoyed doing this. I felt like I had a story to tell and wanted to tell it because I know what it's like to not want to do all this and to find out it's really important to go ahead and do it.
Oh, that was so much fun. Thank you, Sherry, so much for just sharing your story and a piece of your heart. And friends, do check out Sherry Gomes, Gnomes, and her book, Haven. And also, if you're new to Couch to Active, make sure you head on over to the web page, the homepage, couch2active.com, and let's get your active lifestyle up and running. That's couch2active.com.